Hi, friends. It's Joni with Three Feathers Spiritual Wisdom here with a video all about the full moon in Aries happening on October 9th, this Sunday, and at 16 degrees and 32 minutes. As you might note, if you've watched me before, that I'm not in my usual spot. I'm not in my office area because I'm on the road. I'm in Grand Island, Nebraska, and I'll be heading into the Holistic Health Fair or Holistic Health Summit, excuse me, um, tomorrow morning on Saturday the 8th. So I'm doing this video tonight on the road, and we'll try to post it later or first thing in the morning, just in time for you to know what's happening with the full moon. So a full moon is different than a new moon. It is about the culmination, the peak of the moon. And it's time to kind of look back and see what needs to be adjusted, what needs to be changed, what is completing its cycle, and because it's completing, to release some things that you no longer need. That's what the full moon does. Now, the full moon just happens to be in the sign of Aries. And the Aries is all about the start. It is the first zodiac sign. So we still have this, and we've been having this a lot in a way. Um, this push-pull of completion and starting something new. Completion and starting something new. It seems to be a theme. So it's in Aries. The other thing about Aries, let's talk about Aries for a moment. Aries is ruled by Mars, and Mars is that boost of energy. It's fire energy, and that's what Aries does. Wants to push us forward. It is the motivator. It's the energy. It's also the sign of the self. So our own issues about ourselves, our sense of identity, our sense of our ego, our confidence in ourselves, our sense of who we are and where we fit and where we stand in things. So that's kind of breaking down where this full moon is. It's in the sign of Aries. Fiery energy, can be aggressive, can be assertive. Um, so there could be and moons, as you know, are the planet that or the cosmic body that is our emotional center. So we've got emotions kind of on fire in Aries. Passions may be, you know, elevated. So that's something to think about, is kind of watching your own emotional sense and um, um, seeing what triggers and trying to avoid maybe those triggers, to be and also to be aware that other people will also be working under the same thing, but they may not know anything about the full moon or Aries or the emotional content and the volatility. um so but if you've got that inside scoop, then you can be aware where other people may be triggered and may be acting out on those emotions that they may feel. There's many other aspects. It's kind of an interesting an interesting full moon because there are other aspects around it. The moon is conjunct. Remember, conjunct is when two planets or two bodies are right on top of each other, very close within orb, like usually 5 degrees, 5 to 10 degrees, and they're close to each other, which means their energies kind of merge and they increase each other's energies. So the moon is going to be conjunct in Aries with Chiron. Chiron is an asteroid uh, that's named after Chiron the centaur, who was the wounded healer. So Chiron kind of rules our wounds, wounds that we bring into our current life from another life, or the wounds that we end up experiencing here during this life. So the conjunction with Chiron can be an opportunity. All the aspects that I'm describing whenever I do these astrological videos, what I hope to convey is that you can be forewarned about the energy. You can take advantage of the energy because sometimes there are things to take advantage of. And this conjunction with Chiron may be pushing us to look at the wounds we carry in ourselves. All right? And it might be the opportunity to really look at them. And there's more that we can do. And just give me a moment here. The fire energy of Aries can come in and burn them up. Like, we've in the United States, we've had a lot of and here in Nebraska, we just had a major forest fire. You don't think of Nebraska having a forest, but it actually has a man-made forest near Halsey that was done in the 1930s, during the Depression when they had to give people jobs. And they gave a whole bunch of people the job to make that forest. Well, it was on fire earlier this week, which is sad. But sometimes a fire comes in and burns away stuff, and then the area is renewed. You go and visit it after, a few years after a forest fire goes through. The land is not dead anymore. There are new shoots coming up out of the ground. So this could be a way to burn away that whatever wound or trauma, emotional trauma you may be having that is connected to the self. Another way that it could be connected, because there's another aspect about the moon, is that when there is a full moon, of course, the sun is in the opposite house. And the house or the sign opposite Aries is Libra. So Aries is about the self, Libra is about relationships. It's the self in relationships. So that's where the sun is, and the sun is not alone. The sun and Venus are both in Libra. So it could mean that some of this emotional content and these wounds may be connected to ourselves, but ourselves in relationship with another person. That person, or it gets revealed how we how we act in our relationships. Some relationships are codependent, some relationships are imbalanced or dysfunctional in some way. So that could be revealed to us as well, is where do we have that wound in ourselves that plays out in a relationship? And that relationship may reveal it to us, okay, at this time. So, see, there's a lot to unpack always. I'm sorry it seems complicated, and I hope I'm breaking it down well enough for you to understand. Because it's layer upon layer upon layer when it comes to astrology. Okay, there's a couple of other things happening at the same time. We know the moon is in Aries. Aries is ruled by Mars. I think I said that earlier. Mars, the ruler of Aries, is in Gemini. And there's a couple of things about this that may help us or may be an issue. One is Gemini is the communicator, likes to communicate. So, if there is some volatility or turmoil or some of these emotions are coming up for you to see, it may be a good time to write about them, to journal, to write something to get it out, or to like lay it out to clarify it and give you clarity. So that's one thing that's a positive. Another aspect with Mars in Gemini is mutable, and of course Gemini, the symbol is the twins. And Mars likes one direction. But in a mutable sign like Gemini, it's like trying to figure out, do I go there? Do I go there? Which direction am I going in? So if you have been or feel confused about which direction to go in with this emotional content, the best thing to do is you maybe sit on it for a little while. Then Mars in Gemini is in a square, which is a conflict with the planet Neptune at on the 9th. This is all happening on October 9 with the full moon. Neptune makes us more confused. It can represent our spiritual connection. It can represent dreams and imagination, but sometimes it can represent illusions and delusions. There's always a fine line there. So there could be, since it's a negative, it's a square aspect, Mars and Neptune may be, Neptune may be confusing Mars and confusing us about which direction to go in. The last aspect I want to mention for this is that Mars, at the same time, is in a trine or in a positive aspect with Saturn, which means that once we figure out which direction we do want to go in and we make a decision, Saturn will help us manifest that path and go forward. We'll follow through. And it's important to follow through once you pick a direction. So that's what's going on October 9th, Sunday. The full moon in Aries at 16 degrees. It is, it's going to bring up emotions. Try not to take out any negative emotions on others, as a caution, and be aware that others could feel that same passion and energy that turns into anger. Okay? I'm going to be very curious to see if anything happens on the 9th. That is, I don't know, that is in the collective. So I'm wishing you well. I really appreciate your support. I hope you like these videos and share them. And there'll be information below about how to contact me if you want to have an astrological session with me, or if you would like to have a tarot and oracle card reading. So many blessings. Have a wonderful weekend. And if you are in the Grand Island, Nebraska area, come and see me at the Holistic Health Summit at the Ramada Inn. Take care.